honey, I just seem to keep my own personal views about that to myself because I'm just an entertainer and I'd rather not say.
For decades, the world has been captivated by Elvis Presley's legendary life, his rise to stardom, the music, and the mystery surrounding his closest relationships. Yet, one figure remained largely silent until now, choosing to break her silence after nearly 70 years. What has she revealed that surprises even the most devoted fans? The story behind Elvis's Fiancée is far more than a forgotten romance. It's a tale of love, heartbreak, and secrets kept locked away. Until now, this is the moment where new light is finally shed on a long-hidden chapter of Elvis's life. The shocking revelation. For nearly 7 decades, Elvis Presley's Fiancée remained silent, tucked away in the shadows of one of the most iconic love stories in music history. Then, at the age of 69, she decided to break that silence, releasing a wave of shock across the world. What drove her to finally speak after all these years? Her words hint at truths that challenge the familiar narrative of Elvis's personal life, leaving fans and historians alike eager to listen closely. Her reveal was not just a simple recollection of old memories, but a careful unspooling of hidden emotions and untold events. This was a perspective that had never been part of the public record before, with insights that exposed the fragility behind the glamour. The revelation suggested that the relationship was far more complex than the glossy headlines and fan letters ever indicated, marked by moments of joy, but also deep struggles. The suddenness of her openness caught many by surprise. Why now? What changed after so many years of silence? This question lingered in the air, adding gravity to her statements and making it clear that there was more at stake than just nostalgia. She wanted the world to understand not just who Elvis was as a star, but who he was behind closed doors. She hinted at how the pressures of fame and circumstance shaped not only their relationship, but also the decisions that followed. The first-hand knowledge she possessed had never before been documented, making her testimony an irreplaceable piece of the puzzle. It became apparent that this story wasn't just about a past love, but about uncovering a legacy clouded by misunderstanding. Her courage to come forward after all this time opened a door to re-examine Elvis's life through a more intimate lens. This was not just a personal account. It was a call to acknowledge the unseen struggles often hidden behind star-studded fame. The anticipation of what her full story might reveal set the stage for a journey into a world both familiar and startlingly new. What unfolded from her revelations challenged the simple Hollywood romance myth and demanded recognition of the real people behind the headlines. The hint of discord, hopes, and heartaches begged for deeper exploration. It introduced a tension between public adulation and private reality that shaped their shared years. At the heart of her decision lay the hope to set the record straight, not just for herself, but for the memory of Elvis Presley. There was an urgency to claim her own voice in a story that had often been told without it. This was the beginning of a conversation that would touch countless hearts and spark renewed fascination. While many assumed their relationship was just a brief footnote, her revelation suggested it was a significant chapter whose details deserved attention. What the world was about to learn went far beyond romance. It was about history, identity, and the personal costs of fame. And yet, the fullest truths were still waiting to be revealed as the story unfolded. Her first public statements thus served as a tantalizing glimpse into a life lived in the shadows of the king's towering legacy, an invitation to look closer and listen harder to the chapters left unwritten. As we look back to where it all began, the meeting between Elvis and his fiancée lays the foundation for understanding the bond that would both inspire and challenge them. Early meeting and connection. Elvis Presley met his fiancée during a transformative time in both of their lives, just as he was beginning to ascend toward global superstardom. Their first encounter is often described in terms of an instant spark, a meeting charged with youthful energy and hopeful anticipation. This connection wasn't just a casual attraction. It was the start of a deep emotional bond forged amid the whirlwind of Elvis's rising fame. Their initial meeting took place in the early 1950s, a period when Elvis was still navigating the challenges of newfound popularity and the demands that came with it. She was one of the few constants who saw beyond the growing public image to the man behind the music. Their relationship began quietly, away from the relentless attention, offering a rare space where Elvis could just be himself. From the very beginning, there was a sense of shared dreams and intertwined destinies. Despite the pressures building around Elvis, their connection was marked by genuine affection and mutual support. She became a confidant during a time when trust was scarce, and the future was uncertain. Their bond was more than Hollywood glamour. It was founded on emotional depth. But establishing a relationship under such intense public scrutiny was no simple matter. Even early on, the spotlight cast long shadows over their privacy, testing their ability to nurture the romance without interference. The excitement of this encounter was mixed with the awareness of challenges lurking ahead. They had to protect their fragile connection in a world that seemed eager to pry it apart. They first talked and spent time together because they wanted to see what would happen to their relationship, while they recognized that fame would create obstacles for them. They shared visions of a life together that balanced Elvis's career ambitions with personal happiness. Their interactions during their first period together showed a combination of optimism and caution, which demonstrated that their upcoming relationship would develop into a complicated situation. Family and friends noticed the sincerity of their attachment, marking their engagement as more than a fleeting dalliance. Those closest to Elvis recognized her as someone who truly understood him and helped ground him. Their relationship advanced from a chance meeting to a serious commitment, which they expressed through their engagement. Many people thought their bond would continue until the end of their lives. Their initial relationship period with Elvis showed them warm moments which created future opportunities. They cherished their secret times together, which they spent away from both cameras and crowds, because those times helped them build their relationship in private. Their relationship to each other established a vital foundation, which determined the subsequent happiness and distress which emerged after it. The pressures from Elvis's rapidly transforming world already started to affect him during his first period in life. The demands of stardom and the expectations of fans created tension beneath the surface of the affection. The relationship developed into an essential process which required him to find a balance between his personal needs and the requirements of his public image. Their meeting developed into an important moment that marked the beginning of their romantic relationship, which later transformed them into different individuals during their upcoming years together. Understanding the depth and nature of their engagement reveals how profound and complicated their relationship truly was. The nature of their relationship. The engagement between Elvis Presley and his fiancée went beyond the typical young romance. It carried profound emotional weight and faced extraordinary challenges. Their relationship combined youthful passion with the realities of growing fame, forcing both to navigate uncharted territory. It was a partnership tested by time, circumstance, and the pressures that come with being connected to one of the world's biggest stars. They shared dreams of marriage and a future life together, often discussing plans that hinted at stability and commitment. These conversations were not just idle talk. They reflected a genuine desire to build a life amid the chaos around them. Their engagement symbolized hope and a promise to stand by each other through whatever lay ahead. However, beneath the surface, the relationship also contained tensions born of Elvis's rising celebrity and the conflicting demands it created. The fiancée often found herself grappling with the reality of being close to a man whose life was public property. The balance between private love and public expectation was delicate and sometimes painful, forcing difficult choices. Their time together blended moments of genuine joy with episodes of uncertainty. There were occasions when distance, misunderstandings, and the relentless pace of Elvis's career strained their connection. Yet, their emotional bond often pulled them back together, illustrating resilience despite hardships. This dynamic shaped much of their time as an engaged couple. Friends and acquaintances observed the unique nature of their relationship, noting how it differed from typical celebrity romances. Elvis viewed her as his grounding force while she needed to handle the difficulties of loving him because he was a famous person who received constant public attention. Their relationship provided both comfort and difficulty because their engagement served as their personal space, which attracted public attention. The relationship showed that both partners had strong loyalty to each other because the fiancée stayed loyal to her partner during times of hardship. She provided Elvis with constant support throughout his life, even while his life underwent major changes. The loyalty, which she displayed, faced multiple challenges because of both internal factors and external forces. Their engagement required them to make actual decisions about their future together, their family, and their personal identity. They proceeded to work through these important matters together while trying to keep their emotional bond intact, despite the loneliness that fame brought. The couple's relationship faced complex challenges because they had to deal with specific demands which emerged from their encounters with well-known people. Love persisted as a primary force between them, despite the relationship pressures which they experienced. The couple's love story became more impactful because their love led to their future difficulties. Their relationship showed how people could be both open and strong while existing in the world of celebrity. The complex emotions between the characters created multiple relationships which developed into their engagement. The subsequent events resulted in 3 main changes with their relationship. The relationship between the couple reached deep emotional levels, which involved complex relationships. Even as they tried to build a life together, Elvis's skyrocketing fame introduced challenges that would reshape everything between them. Elvis's rising fame impact. As Elvis Presley's stardom skyrocketed in the mid-1950s, the pressures of fame began to reshape both his life and his relationship with his fiancée. Suddenly, he was no longer just a young man with dreams, but a global sensation with millions watching every move. This dramatic shift brought excitement, but also introduced strains that tested their bond in ways neither could have anticipated. The privacy they once cherished became increasingly elusive, and the demands on Elvis's time multiplied relentlessly. The rapid expansion of Elvis's career meant that personal moments with his fiancée grew scarce. Tours, recording sessions, and public appearances pulled him away from home for long stretches, leaving her to navigate the increasing distance and uncertainty alone. The gap between them widened not just physically but emotionally, as the spotlight took precedence over the intimacies that once defined their connection. This transformation was one that brought both pride and anxiety. With every new hit and headline, the challenges of being tied to a superstar became more palpable. Fans and media began speculating on Elvis's personal life, scrutinizing every relationship closely. His fiancée found herself thrust into a life of public speculation she had never sought, where even the smallest details were magnified. The intrusion made maintaining a normal relationship difficult, as they struggled to guard their private world from relentless exposure. The rise of Elvis as the King also brought new influences and people into his orbit. Industry figures, managers, and other associates became a constant presence, complicating the dynamics of their relationship. The girl who had once been a grounding force now felt the pull of competing loyalties and the realities of a life governed by business as much as by love. These tensions quietly chipped away at the foundation they had built. Despite these obstacles, the connection between Elvis and his fiancée showed moments of resilience. They seized whatever opportunities they could to find closeness, sharing brief but meaningful encounters amid the chaos. These fleeting moments of normalcy offered both solace and hope, even as the challenges mounted. It was a delicate dance, balancing growing distance with enduring affection. The ongoing schedule created negative impacts, which extended beyond their shared time because it affected their personal development. The public image of Elvis began to define his identity because he allowed this transformation to alienate his closest relationships. His fiancée experienced difficulty in understanding the two different sides of her husband, who she loved, and the worldwide superstar whom everyone else admired. The internal battle that he faced established another new element which changed their relationship dynamics. The demands of their public lives made existing personal insecurities and fears more intense for both individuals. The growing misunderstandings between them created trust issues, while external demands tested their ability to stay patient. The relationship, which had provided them safety, now started to face dangerous conditions because of their rising demands. Their love remained intact, but the early days of their relationship lost their special appeal after they experienced the public scrutiny that comes with being famous. Fans celebrated Elvis's success without fully understanding the personal costs it entailed. The couple faced multiple problems which their stardom could not resolve, despite receiving loud applause and filling stadiums. The story demonstrates how stardom brings both attractive benefits and exhausting responsibilities to those who achieve. The rising pressure caused their relationship to reach a critical moment because it demanded essential testing which would determine their future together. The reasons behind their eventual separation reveal just how deeply those pressures weighed on their once unshakable bond. Reasons behind their separation. The breakup between Elvis Presley and his fiancée did not happen overnight. It was the outcome of a series of emotional, practical, and personal challenges that slowly unraveled their plans for forever. One of the central issues was the strain created by Elvis's skyrocketing fame, which changed the rhythm of their lives and exposed vulnerabilities both had tried to keep hidden. Distance, miscommunication, and growing external pressures created cracks that widened over time. Elvis's demanding career left little room for the traditional milestones that often solidify relationships, such as steady companionship or day-to-day support. This physical and emotional absence weighed heavily on his fiancée, fostering feelings of loneliness and uncertainty about their future together. The shared dreams they once held began to feel more distant and fragile, causing doubts to creep in where once there was certainty. Trust became another fragile thread. As Elvis navigated the trappings of fame, surrounded by a host of admirers and industry figures, insecurities grew on both sides. For his fiancée, the fear of losing him to the relentless circus of celebrity life was real. For Elvis, the pressures of expectation and maintaining his superstar image sometimes meant distancing himself from personal commitments. This fragile balance was difficult to sustain. Family and friends also played a role in the eventual split. Well-meaning advice, differing expectations, and outside influences affected their private world. Sometimes, these voices underscored the difficulties rather than offered solutions, creating additional tension. The young couple found themselves caught not only in their own struggles, but also in those imposed by those around them. The public's ceaseless interest in Elvis's love life added another unwelcome dimension. Constant media attention and rumors made maintaining privacy nearly impossible. The scrutiny intensified the pressures on the relationship as every gesture or absence was analyzed under a magnifying glass. This environment bred stress and mistrust, leaving little room for healing or growth. Despite their efforts to make the engagement work, the cumulative effect of these challenges became overwhelming. Emotional exhaustion took hold, leaving both feeling vulnerable and unsure of the path forward. Conversations about their future grew more difficult, and the hope for a shared life increasingly felt fragile. Ultimately, their separation was both an act of heartbreak and survival. It reflected the recognition that love alone could not conquer the unique hardships posed by Elvis's meteoric rise and the swirling world he inhabited. They parted with memories of deep affection, but also of cultures and realities pulling them in opposite directions. This parting was not just the end of a romance. It was the closing of a chapter that shaped both of their lives profoundly. The choices they made then echoed in the years that followed, influencing who they became as individuals and how they viewed fame and love. Though apart, their shared history remained a poignant testament to the challenges faced by those closest to icons. Their story reflects the bittersweet reality that love, no matter how strong, sometimes bows to circumstance. As Elvis's fiancée faced life after the split, the impact of their relationship and its end would continue to shape her journey in ways unexpected and deeply personal. Life after Elvis. After their separation, Elvis Presley's fiancée faced the challenge of carving out a life defined by her own identity rather than as part of an iconic love story. The breakup left a profound mark, not just emotionally, but also in how she understood herself in relation to the man who had become a global legend. Moving forward meant navigating a world that forever connected her to Elvis, while simultaneously seeking personal peace and purpose apart from his shadow. She chose a path of relative privacy, keeping much of her life out of the spotlight to protect what remained of her own story. This decision underscored a desire to be seen as more than just Elvis's fiancée, allowing her to craft a narrative shaped by resilience as much as by heartbreak. Although the years passed, her connection to Elvis remained a defining moment, one that she carried with both tenderness and complexity. Friends and family who remained close spoke of her strength and grace in handling the public's fascination while tending to her own needs. She maintained bonds with those who knew Elvis personally, weaving her past into a broader tapestry of memories and shared experience. These connections offered comfort, but also reminded her that the past was never far behind. The period following her separation from her partner brought her life to a point where she could both achieve her goals and think about herself. The achieved balance proved to be challenging for her, yet it established a peaceful way of life which existed beyond her public celebrity status. The emotional scars from the breakup maintained their presence through discrete manifestations that occurred during her daily life. The experiences of being alone led her to remember what could have happened, while she also felt thankful for their shared experiences. The combination of sadness and gratitude which she experienced developed into her future assessment of her life, which brought more depth to her narrative. The public did not attract her yet. Her connection to Elvis continued to exist as a permanent element of her heritage. The public inquiries, which occurred at times, along with fan curiosity, served as reminders for her about how their relationship had created a permanent influence on popular culture. The story she shared 3 decades later still captured people and created a historical interest which drove new learners to discover the valuable parts of their short yet essential connection. The world recognized her capacity to maintain historical awareness while dealing with fame because she spent most of her life without making public statements. The situation showed how people who associate with famous individuals experience hidden battles which make them choose between their public image and their essential existence. Her life after Elvis established itself as a demonstration of strength because she succeeded in achieving personal goals while maintaining her respect for the major life event which defined her existence. The ongoing legacy of the organization experienced complete transformation because of the combined elements of human loss and enduring emotional ties. As she contemplated her past and the reasons for breaking silence, the timing and motivations behind reopening that chapter became clearer. The decision to break silence. The decision by Elvis Presley's fiancée to finally share her story publicly at the age of 69 was both surprising and profound. After decades of silence, holding tightly to memories and private reflections, she chose this moment to speak out, understanding that time had given her perspective and courage. This bold step was not merely personal. It was a deliberate reclaiming of her voice in a narrative long overshadowed by celebrity. Her reasons were rooted in a desire to offer truth where speculation had reigned, to present an authentic account of a relationship too often misunderstood or oversimplified. She sought to move beyond gossip and myth, sharing insights that only she could provide. This prompted a reconsideration of Elvis's life and theirs together, painting a more nuanced picture grounded in first-hand experience. The choice to go public reflected a shift from protection and privacy toward openness and healing. She recognized that telling her story could bring closure not just for herself, but also help fans and historians reconcile conflicting versions of Elvis's personal life. It was a courageous act of vulnerability, choosing transparency over silence after so many years. Timing played an important role. 69 years had passed since those formative days with Elvis, granting her the space to process emotions without the immediacy of youth or the intensity of public pressure. This maturity allowed her to frame her experiences thoughtfully and with a balanced heart. Her revelations were carefully measured, aiming to honor the man she once loved, while acknowledging the difficulties they encountered. She emphasized respect and empathy, steering away from sensationalism. The intent was to deepen understanding, not to rekindle past wounds. This new openness also served as a means to reclaim agency over a story previously told by others. For too long, her perspective had been absent from the conversation, leaving gaps that were often filled with assumption. Speaking out was a way to fill those gaps with honesty. The response to her decision would prove significant, not just for fans eager to learn new facets of Elvis's life, but also for cultural memory and historical record. Her voice added richness and complexity to a figure already mythologized in countless ways. Ultimately, her willingness to break decades of silence underscored a remarkable strength and authenticity. It was a final act of connection to both the past and to the millions inspired by Elvis. This turning point invited reflection on how her candidness would ripple through public perception and legacy alike. The way the public and media reacted to her revelations reveals much about the enduring power of Elvis Presley's story and the woman who chose to tell it anew. Legacy and public reaction. When Elvis Presley's fiancée finally broke her silence, the public reaction was immediate and intense. Fans, historians, and media outlets alike scrambled to absorb the new perspective she offered on the king's personal life. Her revelations challenged long-held assumptions, prompting many to rethink the man often portrayed through music and myth alone. This renewed focus added a rich layer to Elvis's legacy, reminding everyone that behind the spectacle was a deeply human story. Her decision to share previously private details sparked debates about privacy, legacy, and the role of those closest to celebrities in shaping public memory. Some praised her courage and honesty, applauding the delay made in preserving the dignity of their shared past. Others questioned the timing or motives, but few could deny the impact of her voice in humanizing a figure so often mythologized. It became clear that her truth was essential to a fuller understanding of Elvis Presley. Fans found themselves revisiting not just Elvis's career milestones, but also the more intimate moments that defined his life away from the stage. The fiancée's words gave context to the pressures Elvis faced and the complexities beneath his public persona. For many, this was a powerful reminder that fame often comes at a significant personal cost, one rarely visible in concert halls or on record covers. The media's coverage varied from respectful explorations to sensational headlines, reflecting the ongoing fascination with Elvis's private life. Interviews, documentaries, and articles began incorporating her story, weaving it into the broader tapestry of Elvis's history. Her willingness to speak openly encouraged more nuanced conversations about the realities behind celebrity, urging audiences to see the whole person rather than just the icon. Cultural commentators noted how her revelations highlighted the challenges of loving and supporting a star whose life was under constant public scrutiny. This brought renewed attention to the sacrifices and emotional labor endured by those in the proximity of fame. Her story resonated beyond Elvis fans, touching anyone familiar with the emotional complexities of high-profile relationships. The process of scholarly research and biographical writing developed into a new practice, which incorporated her viewpoint into Elvis's life story, since her impact on his formative years and decision-making process needed to be recognized. Historical narrative development showed how different perspectives should be used to create a truthful representation of a public figure. Her voice served as the essential element which connected various missing elements that had remained unfound for an extended period. Her findings about Elvis brought fresh insights to his legacy, showing that historical knowledge continues to transform through time. Her bravery in sharing her personal experiences helped people understand the king better because she showed both his glamorous side and his authentic human nature. She demonstrated to both fans and critics how to understand her story beyond its basic elements, which people usually perceive as black and white. Her work created empathy, which enabled people to understand the challenges faced by those who lived in Hollywood's hidden world of stardom. The documentary exposed Elvis's concealed struggles, which created an opportunity for fans to experience his life through a more personal connection. People who experienced this transition began to understand him better as both a human being and a legendary figure who experienced love and sadness. Her choice to share her story created a new narrative which established Elvis Presley's legacy through the inclusion of previously silenced voices. The complete account of events serves as a source of inspiration which people use to reflect on themes of love, sacrifice, and the costs associated with becoming a celebrity. Elvis Presley's Fiancée's long silence and powerful revelations remind us that behind every legend lies a human story full of love and challenges. Her courage to share these truths deepens our understanding of Elvis beyond the fame. If you found this story captivating, please like and subscribe for more insights into the lives behind the legends.